Welcome to Taking Note, episode 15. I'm Eddie Meneses. Today is Friday, July 10th. So, I don't know what everyone's last weekend was like, 4th of July weekend, but it was crazy here in LA. They banned illegal fireworks. They banned fireworks of all sorts in LA, which of course meant everyone and their mom set off fireworks. It was just from 7 p.m. till about 1 a.m. There were just a bajillion fireworks going off. I've never heard or seen anything like it. And I can't really describe it. So here's a little video I took. Check it out. So it was like that for like 8 hours, constant, not just sounded like gunshots, one after another. I don't know what other people outside of LA was like, but it was really crazy. Oh, Dave Gerhardt, what's up, man? Thanks for tuning in. Yeah, we got Alex Acuña today. It's gonna be awesome. I'm so happy to have him on. And he posted a link to something. I'm sure it's probably some sort of fireworks video, but. Yeah, so that was crazy. That was, and then the next day, of course, we had the worst air quality in the world. But it's kind of like when you do a big night out, you're going to drink a lot and you're going to have a good time. And then the next morning you're going to pay for it, but you're like, whatever, you only live once, just do it. I love fireworks. I used to be so afraid of fireworks as a kid, but as an adult, I love fireworks so much. I thought it was amazing. It was worth the bad air quality for one day. The day after that, air quality was perfectly back to normal for LA, which is actually not as bad as you think it is. So that was cool. Let me know if anyone had a crazy experience like that in your city, but LA was absolutely nuts. I'm surprised nothing caught on fire, and I'm thankful nothing did. Also, I have my first affiliate link. So I don't know if you guys have been watching, but for the past 10 episodes, if you noticed, I've been wearing either a black crew neck or a black V-neck t-shirt, and those are from True Classic Tees. I really love the feel of them. I love the way they fit. They're not super tight. They're not boxy. The arms are a little bit like narrower, and they fit really well. It just creates a good silhouette. It's going to hide all that stuff you've been eating and drinking over the quarantine and completely unregulated. And yeah, so I reached out to them and told them I really love their stuff, their shirts, and if I could be an affiliate, and they agreed. So if you go to trueclassictees.com/Eddie-Meneses, you can get 15% off with the code Taking Note. So very proud of that, very happy for that. Check it out. I love their shirts. They're awesome, super soft, fits great. Check it out. I wouldn't advertise it if I didn't wear them. And as always, please like, comment, and share this video. Just take a second, hit that share button, call your friends, text your friends, tell your mom, tell your wife, tell your dad, have them tune in if you think they'd be interested in this interview series. Thank you so much to everyone who's done that so far. That's the best way you can help me out and spread the word. Just hit that share button and also comment at any time. Just put up a comment if you have something you want to say to Alex or a question for him at any time in the interview. Just put it in the comments, and we will definitely get to it at the end of the interview. We'll leave time to answer all of your questions. I know that my guest has had an amazing career, so there might be lots of questions or lots of comments. We will put them up. We will acknowledge you. Please comment to your heart's content. So, my guest today. We met a handful of years ago, about 5 years ago, in a studio gig, and we've kept in touch ever since. He grew up in Peru, started playing percussion at the age of 4, and at the age of 10, started playing in local bands. And from there, he had this wonderful career playing in bands and studios in Peru and Puerto Rico, and he was touring in the U.S. And then in 1974, he moves to Las Vegas. And the rest is history. He has performed with such icons and groups, and this is just a tiny fraction of the names: Elvis Presley, Diana Ross, Paul McCartney, Ella Fitzgerald, Joni Mitchell, Weather Report, Michael Jackson, Christina Aguilera, Yellow Jackets, Herbie Hancock, Whitney Houston, And the list goes on for miles and miles, or kilometers for all my Canadians out there. He can be heard on over 300 motion picture soundtracks, probably more. That might be outdated. He's been on so many movies, and he is also just one of the most generous, kind, and most authentic souls on earth. And in his 70s, has just about as much gray hair as I do. It is my absolute pleasure and honor to bring you the living legend, a king amongst percussionists and musicians, Alex Acuna. Alex, hey, thank you so
Hey,
much for being here.
how are you? Thank you. Thank you
I'm
also. It's
doing
my
well. Yeah,
privilege.
thank you. So, I guess we have a lot to cover. So let's just kind of start with your origin story. Growing up in Peru, how at the age of 4 did you become interested in percussion, and how did it go from there?
Yes, my father was a music teacher. He was able to teach on how do you call it, high school, and I had five older brothers, and they were musicians, excellent. I mean, my father was classical oriented and everything else, so his teachings were very direct, and he was a very good teacher, explaining and writing, and especially teaching trumpets and trombone and sax and flute and all of that. He was able to do all of that, and my brother
Mm.
became amazing musicians. I mean, like really good, the top musicians in Peru.
Did they also play all those instruments, or did they all choose one?
They all play percussion, by the way,
Oh,
all of them.
okay.
That's my father started them and started on piano and guitar to all of them.
Oh,
But here is the, the situation. My mother told him not to teach me. I'm the last one of the six.
okay.
My mother wanted me to be something else. She kind of mentioned maybe you can be a carpenter or a mechanic or something like that, to have a profession. I mean, in her mind, mainly, she told me later when I grew up why she said that. It was because my brothers and my father, they had a band with my uncles and with my cousins, and they left on Thursday and came back on Monday. And the gigs were, all day. Sometimes they play big bands. Sometimes they play on the street. Sometimes, and then they play also dance, big situations like that. And they came so tired for that weekend. They make good money,
Mm-hmm.
but my mother didn't want that kind of life for me. She probably knew something I didn't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Anyhow, and so my father respected. But every time he was teaching my brothers, I was around. I saw the lessons. I saw how he was teaching everything. So that's how I learned. And and all of a sudden, when I saw that he was making congas and timbales and bongos and drums and all of that, I don't know where he got the symbols, but he got some great people making, working on wood and working on metals, luthiers and friends like that in the city, in a small town that we were born in north of Lima. Anyhow,
Mm.
and I said, "Whoa!" When I saw the percussion, I said, "The percussion really called me."
Mm.
That's what I want to play. I touch them, and I love the touch of the conga, and the bongos, and then when I play the timbales and the sticks. So I was imitating my brothers the way they play, because everybody took turns about playing drums and congas and timbales and play trumpet and play sax and play everything else.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's how I learned.
Wow. Wow. And then you started playing in local bands at 10.
That's right. Well,
So it was a very
actually,
productive 6 years of learning, I guess. And then now you're a professional.
I know. Well, what happened is one of my brothers ran out with his girlfriend, and he was the main drummer.
Okay.
And I said, ran out. I mean, they left. And very young. He was only 19. I think she was only 17. And they didn't have the drummer for that weekend. So I said, who are we going to get? And I lift my arm. I said, me. and they laugh at me. You never play. Mom never want you to play. I said, you don't know. When you guys left the rehearsal, I play. When my mom was home, I didn't play. The minute she left home, I play.
Hmm.
So I was cheating.
There was no
Anyhow,
stopping you. No stopping you from playing.
yeah. And and I said, and I know all the songs that you guys rehearse. So this is the first and the only audition I ever had in my life was my family auditioned me. They say, okay, let me see. And they play those mambos, Perez Paro, Subaru, 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 and I
Hmm.
was playing like bass drum and timbales and cowbells. And I play everything, the feels and amazing. I mean, I'm not saying amazing about me. I'm saying amazing the way the music sounded to me playing it. I said because that was the first time I played with them. And they said, whoa, wait a second. So we have a monster here. And that's what it was, the beginning of my career. And then, of course, I was so young. The gig started at 9 p.m.
Hmm.
By 11, I fell asleep because I'm a kid. So, there you go.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So you played in the studios and bands up until in 18, and then you moved to Puerto Rico at 18, or what? How old were you when you moved to Puerto Rico?
No, actually, I moved to Los Angeles
Oh,
here.
okay.
Yeah, I was doing, yeah, you're right. I was doing television shows and recordings. I was the house drummer of Odeon in a big studio in Peru. And then was playing on two TV programs, Channel 13 and Channel 2. One was at 1 p.m. and the other one was at 9 p.m. A very famous musician from Cuba had a tour. He was going to do a tour in South America. And in Peru, in those days, in the 60s, there were a lots of Cuban musicians that he
Hmm.
knew. So he kind of asked, are there any good drummers in Peru? And they say, yeah, there are a couple of them. And one of them is very young and the other guy is a little older. The guy that was older also was from my hometown and also played with my family. My father was his teacher as well. And anyhow, so he came to see me play. And right after the first gig, I mean, the first tune that I played, he sent his manager to talk to me. He said, Mr. Perez Prado wants to bring you to United States. So I said, well, okay, I talk to him later when I finish the gig. Anyhow, and the rest is history. You're right. But I was a minor. My parents have to sign for everything, to get the passport, to get the visas, to get everything, and the contracts and everything. And I got the green card, the permanent residency from Peru in those days. So I came here with that kind of visa as a permanent residency,
Hmm.
resident to US. Came to New York first, 5 days in New York. When I land in New York, that night I was staying right in Times Square, 56 and 7, and there was a club called bar club called oh, I forgot, how can I, Metropole.
Hmm.
Gene Krupa was playing with his band, Gene
Oh
Krupa,
wow, yeah.
and I saw.
Legendary drummer for all those of you who don't know.
I wanted to get in, but they didn't let me because I was a minor. So I just was hopping on top of the car and see him playing. And it was a bummer that I couldn't really get inside.
Oh.
Yeah. Anyhow, and then the next day was um, who was clarinet player.
Benny Goodman.
No, 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 no,
Oh.
a younger one.
Oh,
Uh, yeah. Anyhow, I think.
those are all the clarinet players I know. Benny Goodman. That's it.
I know. And I said, wow, the drummer was Jake Hanna, who he lives here in town in
Oh.
Los Angeles. He died about maybe 10 years ago.
Hmm.
Woody Herman.
Woody Herman. Okay. Yes.
Woody Herman.
Yes.
That one.
Yes. Yes. Okay.
Again, they didn't let me in. I tried again.
Hmm.
I tried again. They didn't let me in because they asked me for and I just showed them my green card and my passport. Anyhow, but I had a great experience in New York about 4 to 5 days, maybe, if I recall. The day of traveling maybe was the fifth day. Came to Los Angeles, and immediately, not in that day, but in a couple of days, I joined to the union, the musicians, local 47.
Oh wow.
Yeah, because my mother told me that. She said, when you go over there, it's a different language, different culture, different people, and you won't be able to understand. But find some friends or somebody that can take you to the musician union and register. You have to obey the law, you have to be right, and you have to be everything else in order, so respect everything. And I obey my mom, and it was great. Let me tell you. I tell you why it was great. Now I can say why I joined the union, and it was an amazing thing for me because I'm getting my pensions from the federation and from the musician union. Is
Hmm.
really good because all the recordings and everything that I done, anyhow, is they giving me back to me, So
Hmm.
my retirement is really good, you
Oh,
know.
that's good. You're one of the lucky ones.
That's what I mean. So thanks to my mom that really forced me to become, affiliated to the musician local 47 in Los
Oh,
Angeles.
good.
Yeah.
Excellent. And but then when did you
When I
move to Las Vegas then?
Yeah, Las Vegas. So I did a tour with Perez Prado for 1 year, no, 10 months. And then I went to Peru to visit my family. And the next year, let me see, 65, I
Hmm.
came to Puerto Rico because I wanted to go to Cuba because I love the congas and
Hmm.
I love the bongos and, the Latin percussion, the Caribbean percussion. And my mother, again, told me, he's, she said, Fidel is there. You can go.
Hmm.
You won't have fun. I
Hmm.
mean, I know what she meant, but that's just, she just said it like that. And she said, why don't you go to Puerto Rico? I said, I went to see a map. I didn't even know about Puerto Rico,
Yeah.
I was too young. And I said, wow, Puerto Rico. Okay. I find out some friends, musicians that I met here in New York, in Los Angeles, Puerto Ricans. And so I came to, but I always came with a band, believe it or not.
Mm.
I never kind of just jumped to the place. I think the only place which I tell you more, will be Las Vegas. Is the only place that I went without a band. But
Right.
everywhere else, I was always moving with the band, all my trips, always playing, always working, and things like that. So Las Vegas was 1974, April, and I only had $1,500. I had my car. I was married already. I had
Mm.
3 children, my wife, and the twin boys. Now they're 46. My oldest daughter is 52.
Mm.
And I rent an apartment, 2 bedrooms, one for the kids and one for my wife and I, and was very cheap anyhow. And she found a job because she's bilingual, so she was able to talk English pretty well. She found a job right away in the hotel,
Mhm.
and then about a month later, some friends of mine that were working at the International Hilton Hotel, they recommend me to play there. They didn't audition me, but they tried me out for sure. My
Mhm.
first gig was at the International Hilton with Olivia Newton-John.
Oh wow.
Yeah, she just came from Australia with a boyfriend, was a guitar player, and he was the musical director.
Mhm.
And the music was kind of simple, kind of country in those days, the way she
Right.
was singing. Yeah,
Mm.
and and then you know the we continue to play. The beautiful thing about Las Vegas in those days that most of the acts also they had the rhythm section,
Mhm.
bass, guitar, piano, and drums. So when they had the drummer, I switched to congas. You know,
Yeah.
so so one day, um, a good friend of mine is dead. He's dead now. He played with Mal Davis. His name is Don Elias, amazing conga player. He also played with Johnny Mitchell, Don Elias.
Mhm.
He came to see the Temptations, and I was playing with Charlie Rich, which is a country singer, playing the drums.
Mhm.
Then the second act the closing act about the Temptations, and the Temptations had their own drummer, so I switched to the congas.
Okay.
And Don Elias is there. He said in his mind, there is only two guys that play congas and drums really well, and the third one is me.
Yeah.
Well, he played like Elvin Jones, and he plays congas amazingly. And he said that had to be Alex because the other one is a tall one. He's Walfredo de los Reyes. He's from Cuba,
Hmm.
and so he waited for me, and we met, and we became good friends. And that's when he showed me that he was playing with Miles, and we became friends. And so that was my connection for so many things later. I can tell you more if
Yeah.
you have a question.
Yeah. Well, I guess in terms of someone, it being very rare that someone is really great at percussion, like Latin percussion and drum set. How did both of those instruments kind of influence the other? Do you know what I mean? How did your Latin percussion influence your drum set playing, and vice versa?
Yeah, the influence technically they can be similar if you really you know just put it in a simple explanation saying drums is with the sticks
Hmm.
and us is without the sticks. It's the same rudiments, the same, definitely the sounds and the feel and all of that. But like I told you, from 7 years old I was playing already.
Hmm.
And I mean from 4, but from 10 I was playing. So but the main thing here is being born in South America, I was able to develop my Brazilian chops.
Okay.
I play Brazilian music on drums like
Mm.
Ayrton Moreira, like any Brazilian drummer.
Hmm.
And because I play with a lot of acts of Brazilians in Peru on the television shows. And I play Venezuelan music, and I play Argentinian, and I play Uruguayan music and Colombian music, and all of those styles of music. They're very peculiar. They're very different to each other. It's not the same. They have different. The genres are different. The style, the culture is different. Playing those instruments and playing those styles, and they also were able to mix the percussion, for example, the Brazilian, just to be simple, playing the pandero, they
Hmm.
use those technique on the hi-hat. So that's how I learned to apply the drums and percussion very similar to the percussion on the drums
Hmm.
and vice versa. But when I came to the United States, and I always, before I came here, I was very much in love with jazz. I love
Hmm.
jazz. I knew all the drummers. I bought all the records, big band drummers, Jim Krupa, Buddy Rich, Don Lamont, Joe Morello,
Hmm.
Joe Jones, uh, um, then Charlie Perceep. I mean, amazing. I used to listen to all of those. Rufus Jones, so a few Jones over there, and they all have different sound and different tuning and different approach, different beat and different speeds. And so I listen a lot. I
Hmm.
listen. I still do. So
Hmm.
that was the mix of listening, observing how other drummers and percussionists mixed the percussion with the drums, and then being in San Juan, Puerto Rico, which they did the same thing. Uh, that's how I made the transition to understand, especially, and I think it became a very personal style.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. Well, I mean, you definitely have a very, I don't want to say unique style, but like kind of a legendary style. I mean, it's well known. There's so many videos of you playing and playing percussion, especially, which we'll get to soon, playing with Weather Report, where you're playing, you and Manolo are just, jamming together and you're on congas, and then you move to drum set and he's like singing and shouting, and then you're moving back to congas. It's really an amazing thing to see.
They,
So I
they,
guess when we're on the subject of Weather Report, let's move on to how you met the band, how you joined the band, and your time with them.
Oh yeah, like I said, we kept keeping in touch with Don Elias. Used to come all the time from New York to Las Vegas playing with Lou Rawls, a singer, and he was playing drums and sometimes drums and percussion, drums and congas and things like that. And by 70, maybe early 75, he came and he brought me recording tapes of him and Jaco
Hmm.
Pastorius
Hmm.
playing Donna Lee, you know,
Hmm.
and his bass and conga, you know.
Hmm.
I said, wait a second, man, that's awesome. And then he played me of Jaco, uh, the portraits of Tracy. And this is Jaco alone playing the bass. And and I said, is that a bass or is that a keyboard, a Fender Rhodes? He
Hmm.
says, no, that's a bass
Wow.
because the harmony and the tonalities and and the technique that he used, amazing sounds that he got. If anybody really love Jaco, check that out because it's very high level mentality of playing
Hmm.
bass that way, especially on the harmony situations. Anyhow, so he said, Alex, let's do a band. Let's play together, so we can switch. You play perk and I play drums. You play drums and I play perk.
Hmm.
I said, okay. So we start playing with Miroslav Vitos, who used to play bass with Weather Report,
Okay.
and then David Lipman, who used to play sax with Mal Davis, and Richie Bayrak, an incredible jazz piano player. They're all from New York.
Hmm.
And so they moved just to play with us because Don was able to get some gigs around California and Colorado and, around here. And San Diego and the clubs over here. There was lots of jazz in those days. So we rehearsed and we play. We rehearsed in Las Vegas in my house, and we went on. I left the Hilton,
Hmm.
you know, after playing with not with the Weather Report yet. We're playing with Elvis and all of that.
Yeah.
you know, I,
Yeah.
it was a secure money, but it was 1 year. I already bought my home and
Hmm.
everything. My wife was working, very
Hmm.
comfortable. And in those days, you buy a house for $40,000,
Hmm.
and yeah. And anyhow, so I said, well, my kids are so they're okay, and she knows that we came here because I love jazz. I wanted to play jazz, but I could not make it in Los Angeles yet. I mean, my personality. Not that I was afraid. I said, I'm Los Angeles is too big for me. I don't want to start just playing Latin.
Hmm.
I want to see if I can get into the studios. Anyhow, so I said, I'm going to prepare myself. I'm going to Las Vegas. I had some friends over there, so that's why I was in Las Vegas. So I met Don Elias, and we worked together for about 2 months. And then I went to Las Vegas. I had no gig.
Hmm.
Was playing with anybody. Wasn't playing, but David Lehman, Richie Bayek, and Don Elias called Joe Zawinul, and they told him about me. So one day Joe Zawinul called me, and I joined Weather Report.
Wow. I read an article, an interview you did a while ago about joining Weather Report, about your first rehearsal with them or something like that, where you showed up, and they were rehearsing, and they were just, you told them that you didn't have the instruments, so they were going to rent everything for you, and you show up, they're already playing, you start setting up, and that you played for an hour with them before they even said a word to you, and then and then Wayne Shorter was like, if I were a percussionist, I would want to play like you, and then he accepted you into the band. Is that all accurate? Is that a true
That is
story?
accurate,
Okay.
very accurate. I'm
Okay.
glad you remember that. Wow,
Yeah.
it's amazing. Yeah, that's an incredible phrase. I said, whoa, and Wayne actually for me still is one of the greatest jazz musicians, composer, and everything.
Hmm.
Now he's writing classical music. I think actually the LA Phil performed one in February when we played there.
Hmm.
With a singer. It wasn't an
Oh, with
area.
the Power to the People festival that the LA Phil did. Is that? Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. So anyhow, uh, uh, I listened to him. I knew all his songs, everything he wrote for Miles. I
Hmm.
memorized them, I studied them, and everything because I also follow him and follow Herbie and Ron Carter and Miles and Tony Williams.
Hmm.
That was the quintet for me. Like I also follow John Coltrane and Elvin Jones, especially, and
Hmm.
McCoy Tyner and Jimmy Garrison. Those two bands were for me like the epitome of jazz for me in those days in the 60s, 64, 65, 66, 67, and still now. But anyhow, so when I got to the rehearsal, you're right. Everything you say was perfect. And so I asked Wayne, I said, so I'm not being auditioned, right? He said, oh, no, no, no. You got the gig. Actually, you have your passport, give it to the road manager. He's going to get the visas. And in a week, we're going to Europe.
Wow.
1975, October 1975. And when I heard weather report in that moment that you was playing, I never heard a music or musicians playing at that level
Hmm.
and at that way either. Because yeah, they had the frame of the song, of the tune, whatever we wanted to call it.
Hmm.
But inside of that frame, metaphorically speaking, they were painting a lot.
Hmm.
Even different harmonies and even different colors, different sounds, different approach. Not that was free music. No, it wasn't free. The beat was there, but everything was, it's like a very open, like almost infinite. And I
Hmm.
said, whoa, so there were times that I kind of got lost, but I had to listen very clearly, very deeply to see where they were, because they even changed time signatures inside of a plane, of the whatever jamming that what they were doing, because
Oh
they
wow.
so relaxed and so spontaneous. Everybody is a composer at that moment.
Oh,
Everybody's,
okay.
yeah,
They're composing together, kind of.
yeah, exactly, yeah, and
They have the rules, and then
yeah.
they're kind of just going around it. Was that intimidating at all for you, or?
The first time, yes. When I say, wow, I just want to follow the drummer then, because I have to follow the beat. So wherever he goes, I'm going to follow and I'll accomplish this. And if I hear the harmonies were far out for me, especially Alfonso Johnson has some nice bass pedals, and Joe Zawinul have those synthesizers, the Oberheim synthesizers, in those days.
Hmm.
They were made in Boston,
Hmm.
and so many different sounds, kind of organic sounds, but electric.
Hmm.
And he's like an orchestrator when he plays. Joe Zawinul, he sounds like an orchestra, not like a keyboard player, you
Hmm.
know. Yeah, and it was huge. It was huge. It was really big, and but I rehearsed about 5 days non-stop. We rehearsed about 10 to 12 hours, and
Wow.
then yeah, and then we went on the road.
Wow.
Yeah, and then we went to
And
Europe.
sorry, and then went to Europe, and then you were with them for how long? For 2 years?
Well, let me see, 75, 76, 77, 78,
Okay.
77, 76, 77, 2.5 years.
2.5 years, and you recorded a couple albums with them. Heavy Weather, which was the first fusion album to sell 1 million records, I believe, right?
Yeah,
And yeah, but sorry if I just want to go back to that first rehearsal. That was a different drummer that drummer didn't end up going on tour, right? When did you become the drummer, and when did they bring on Manolo Badrena?
that's right. Thank you for reminding me. Um, okay, during the recording of Black Market, which is before Heavy
Heavy
Weather,
Weather, yeah, yeah.
right?
Hmm.
There are amazing songs in that album. The both composers are amazing. Sawino wrote a song called For Cannonball, which is dedicated to Cannonball Adderley, the sax player where Sawino played with them for about 12, 15 years maybe. Anyhow, and but Alfonso was leaving because he got an opportunity to do his solo album. So they were looking for bass players, auditioning bass players from Canada, from Philadelphia, from I don't know, many different places. So I told him, I said, I know a guy that Jaco Pastorius. You want to listen to him? They didn't know who Jaco Pastorius was.
Wow.
And I said, well, I'm going to call Don Elias and get his number and invite him over. Yeah, definitely. So Jaco came, and he already had his record. Jaco was a funny dude. He was a funny guy.
Yeah, I heard stories. Yeah.
Yeah. We're recording and in this studio, and Joe is sitting at the end of the board, the recording board, and Wayne is there. So he had a couple records, and Jaco flipped one like a frisbee to Joe. Hey, Joe! Boom! He threw it like that.
Yeah.
And boom, he catch it. And then Joe started reading who were in the album in those days. In the back of the album, it says who is playing. Oh, he said, "Oh, Herbie's here. Okay, I'll give it a listen," like that. And
Herbie
then,
Hancock, for
Yeah,
everyone who doesn't know, Herbie Hancock, legendary keyboard player. Yeah.
and so anyhow, and then Wayne said the same thing. Oh yeah, I think Herbie mentioned this guy. Now I know who he is. Now I know who he is.
Who Jaco is.
For Jaco, yeah. I know you, and anyhow. And Jaco saw the other bass player in the studio. So the first thing he asked, he said, "I'm not being auditioned, right? Because I don't audition." He told him, No, you're not being auditioned." Ah, okay. So Jaco said, "Alex, let's go outside." By the way, when Jaco and because Jaco came from Fort Lauderdale and I came from Las Vegas, we became roommates because Weather Report in those days didn't have enough money to really, get us
everyone their own room. Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
So, and Jaco said, "Yeah, I mean, I'm staying in your room. That's okay, no problem." So we were talking, about music, and I asked him. The first thing I asked him was, Who are your favorite bass players?" He named three guys. Cachao, which is, number one in Cuba forever. Cachao is like you say in Duke Ellington, like that. That's Cachao, big. And the other one is Ron Carter, Ron Carter that played with Miles. And the third one is the one that died, I think, a month ago. How can I forget his name? I remember. He used to have a Ford Apache band with his brother, Andy Gonzalez. Amazing bass player, recording in New York with everybody. Play upright. The three of them play upright bass, by the way. I said, "Wow, man, what a choice. Amazing, man. Those are my favorite too." Anyhow. So then they called Jaco to do the song. And he, in those days, he was wearing very thick glasses for reading close, near sight. And he opened the page of the song. It was maybe a 5-page. And he started tuning. He said, "Alex, go please give me an A." So I went to the piano and gave him an A. And he just tuned. He had no tuner. He didn't use tuner. He just tuned by ear. He had pitch and everything. Very gifted. And so he said, "I'm ready." And the drummer in that song was Narada Michael Walden, who became a producer for many of the great singers like Whitney Houston. Also was the drummer with Mahavishnu, with a guitar player from England, and I call it Narada, but it's Narda was on drums. So I went to play percussion, and Don Elias arrived, and he also played with us.
Mm.
So uh, the tune started, and Jaco sired that piece,
Wow.
and the one that they kept is the first take.
Wow.
Everything he implied, all the different licks that he implied during the tune.
Mm-hmm.
If anybody wants to check, is for Cannonball.
Okay.
Uh, is the first take, and that's when they say, "Wow, we got the bass player."
Wow.
But also, Jaco was very good about business.
Okay.
Immediately, he said, "Okay, you want me? Let me talk to the managers. The one that handle the money."
Mm-hmm.
And he asked for money, and he asked to also to put one song in the album. And then he asked, "And you have to pay Alex the same amount I'm making. I don't want Alex
Wow.
to make less money than me, you know." So they raised me, and Jaco was,
Okay. Good for you. I guess good to have a friend like that, I suppose.
exactly. So we were rehearsing later after, in different months, not right away. We finished the album, blah, blah, blah. And then months later, Jaco came back to rehearse, and we stayed in the same place
Mm-hmm.
in Santa Monica. and uh, and he said, "Alex, I know. Don't tell me you play drums. And come on, let's go early to the rehearsal and we play some tunes." He said, do you know all these jazz tunes, Wayne Shorters, like Pinocchio and all? I said, you kidding me? Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
okay, you know. So anyhow, we went about 10 o'clock, and we started playing just drums. And I was playing. I never sat before on Chester Thompson's drums. That
Mm-hmm.
was the drummer for
Mm-hmm.
Weather Report, who did part of the album and also getting ready to go to this tour for
Mm-hmm.
Black Market. He had like 7 8 toms and high cymbals like Billy Cobham in those days, but Chester is taller than me, so the toms were like covering me, like
Mm-hmm.
very high
No
because
one could. No one could see you.
no one can see you.
Yeah.
I happened to be the Sawinul comes early that day to the rehearsal, and he's listening to Jaco and I, playing that Pinocchio.
Mm-hmm.
And Sawinul said, "Who's playing drums?" He wasn't able to see it.
Yeah.
And he got closer. "Alex, I didn't know you played the drums." I said, "Well, I never like to sit in on other people's instruments." I said, "I don't touch that's his instrument. I don't want him to think that I'm taking his gig or
Yeah.
nothing like that. I'm very respectful about that." I said, "Oh, no, I want you to bring your drums also and the percussion. So I'm going to have two drummers and you're going to play percussion when you do whatever you want, in and out, whatever you play with Chester." And that's when Jaco said, "I don't think so. I want
Mm.
Alex to play the drums. I'm sorry for Chester, but I play the style Alex plays like Tony Williams, that style, loose. It's not
Mm-hmm.
like, it's not
It's not
so,
rigid.
not rigid, groovy, which is great, dude. But anyhow, to make the long story short, Chester ended up going to play with Phil Collins with Genesis.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So he turned out okay.
Yeah, really.
Yeah. So
So
so there wasn't any bad blood between him and Jocko or you and him, you and
no,
Chester. No, he was
no.
okay with it.
Oh yeah, he understood. He
Hmm.
understood, and
That's
I
the way
think
it
they got.
is in the music world, I guess.
I know, yeah,
Yeah, that's what
yeah,
happens.
yeah.
I just want to. I notice, whenever you're talking about certain rhythms or beats, like you do a lot of singing. How can we talk about your approach to playing a little bit? Like how important is that singing aspect, singing it, hearing it, and how important is that to when you apply it to the drums?
Exactly. That's exactly, you already explained it right there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but I'm gonna comment about it.
Okay.
Yeah, well, my father, when he used to teach my brothers going back, he used to tell them and said, music has these three very substantial el- elements. Melody is very important.
Hmm.
Harmony, even more important. And then he said rhythm. And then later on, I learned that like I mentioned before, the fourth one for me is composition, which is improvisation,
Hmm.
spontaneously, you
Hmm.
know, that. So that's the fourth one. And to be able to be loose. And so for me as a drummer, when I grew up playing percussion and drums, I like to continue singing the melody, especially in jazz, because sometimes, it's hard to hear the bass players if you play acoustic to see what the fundamentals of the harmonies they following, and sometimes it's hard to hear the piano when they play acoustic piano. So I kind of had to keep the melody in my ears, in
Hmm.
my mind, and continue to play, around that and solo around the melody, things like that too. So it's very important, and that helps, I think, to become a melodic musician. A melodic,
Hmm.
if you a drummer or percussionist, you become a very melodic because you've been, without knowing, you've been practicing to play melodic
Right.
because you always have a melody.
Yeah, I think many, or I guess I can't say. I guess from my own observations, I've noticed that that is definitely something that's lacking with a lot of percussionists is they don't think melodically, right? Because we hit a drum and it makes a noise, and we play rhythms, right? And you don't think about singing rhythms in a melodic way. But it's absolutely true, like what you're saying, and it comes out so much in your playing. You are such a melodic player. Even when you're just playing two congas, it's just so musical and melodic, and it doesn't sound like just two pitches. It sounds like a whole conversation. And so, yeah, that's good to hear that the singing is a big influence in
Yeah,
making it sound like a melodic instrument.
that's true. But also I played trumpet for about 5 years when I was around
Mm.
12
Hmm.
to 17 before I went to Lima.
Hmm.
And
I actually played trumpet as well growing up for
not
all the way through high school. Yeah.
wow,
Yeah.
amazing. And then a little piano. The reason the piano didn't call me was because we didn't have it, the instrument. So every time I went to take the piano lesson, that was the only time I played the piano.
Hmm.
I could not. I came back to my house. I didn't have a piano, so it was very tough. My brothers were always finding people, friends, their girlfriends home. They had piano, so they went and practiced over there.
Hmm.
But my father had some kind of a system, some kind of a way also to teach the piano without a piano. He wrote the keyboard in a big long and taught my brothers, that how to. So that's how they learned. But I said, no, I need to play the piano. I cannot just play on top of the table, with the following. I didn't have the patience, mainly
Hmm.
because I wanted to play more percussion. But
Hmm.
that developed a little bit of my ears. The melodic also helped me to develop the melodic aspect,
Hmm.
playing the drums and the percussions.
Yeah, you can really hear it when you play drum set as well, like just the melodic aspect, and that's really a quality that sticks out. And when you hear drummers who are playing melodically, it's like it's like a whole new world to listen to. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's really wonderful. Well, we're coming up on an hour here, and I want to be conscious of your time, but I know just in our own discussions, you talked about martial arts, discovering martial arts, and how that changed your physical approach to playing. Can you go into that a bit?
Yeah, when I was living in Puerto Rico, actually, is when I started martial arts. But like more or less what I've been explaining, traveling from Puerto Rico to New York, and then coming to Las Vegas, and I used to live in Miami for a minute, and always had a family with me. It was very hard to really get uh, full time in martial arts. I kind of knew karate, I kind of knew a little tai chi and kung fu and muay thai, but seasons, there were only seasons, always changing seasons,
Hmm.
not really serious until here when I became 68.
Hmm.
But I always did martial arts here too. I did Tai Bo for 5 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was amazing because it was, yeah, you don't hit anyone, but the physical and the especially the releasing of the arms and the kicks and everything
Hmm.
was really good. And then I did with Benny the Jet Urquides, Yukido Kan was his style, little Muay Thai. But then one day I was doing a clinic at CSUN, and
Cal State University Long Northridge. That's
no,
yeah.
exactly
Yeah. Yeah.
CSUN, yeah. And a Filipino guy was there, long hair, and an American guy. They didn't look like students, so I said, They wait for me at the end, so at the end they approached me, and they say, Alex, we know you like martial arts. Do you know Dan Inosanto? I said, no, I'm sorry, I don't. Well, Dan Inosanto spent 9 years with Bruce Lee,
Hmm.
and right now he's 78 years old or 77, something like that. Wow, really? Yeah. Come to the academy. So anyhow, I went. I took my wife because my wife, Diana,
Also,
always
my
told me,
wife's name.
that's
Yeah.
right.
I hope that's a secret to success, having a wife named Diana, because if so,
Diana,
then I'm
amazing.
golden.
Oh, yes. And because she was very knowledgeable, understanding, because she spent, 5, 6 years almost every day bringing the kids to karate lessons,
Hmm.
almost every day to the girls and the boys, I had 3 boys and 2 girls.
Hmm.
And so she came with me. And when she saw what they were teaching, she said, so how are you going to learn that? They don't explain anything. I said, I don't know, but I need to do something because I need my coordination and my memory to stay, at least to stay there. I said, I'm getting a little, I'm not getting worried, but anyhow. So
Were
I've
you
been,
were you experiencing injuries or anything, or like repetitive stress injuries or tension or?
no, no, never. Actually, doing the martial art that I'm doing, which is Kali, is a Filipino martial art with 2 sticks, you know.
Hmm.
And then Silat is from Indonesia. It's in the ground. It's like almost like capoeira, but different.
Okay.
It has
Is it
some,
like grappling, like wrestling,
yeah,
like
exactly.
jujitsu?
Yes,
Okay. Okay.
yes, yeah, exactly, exactly. Very good. And then lately I've been doing what they call a JKD, which is it has Wing Chun, you know,
Oh yeah,
the,
yeah. Jeet Kune Do, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
Jeet Kune Do, Bruce Lee.
Hmm.
And I have my dummy, Wing Chun dummy here at
Hmm.
the house. Anyhow, and I'm doing those three, and never injure. Actually, it fixed my wrist, my elbows, my shoulders, and my mind, especially.
Mm.
His philosophy is he used 6 different words that begin with S: stamina, strategy, strength, skill, speed, and spirit.
Mm.
So those six things he teaches inside the martial arts, beautiful things, beautiful martial arts that he teaches, and I love it very much. Right now, I'm very close to get my black belt. I'm a brown,
Wow.
yeah, brown belt.
Congratulations. And you haven't been doing it for that long.
No, with him 7 years.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, yeah,
And I believe you told me when you first told me about it, that this teacher only accepts advanced students, but he took you as a beginner because you were a percussionist and you had rhythm.
true. He he only in the day that when I was there, he was only teaching brown belts and black belts,
Hmm.
and because which is right. The black belts and brown belts, they don't want to be with the beginners. I mean, they will slow down.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And so he said, but I'm gonna let you in my class, Alex, because yeah, in his academy he has taiko drums, he has djembes, congas,
Mhm.
drum set, and cajons,
Mhm.
djembes, and so we play rhythms when when they do multi. I go early. I go like 40 minutes early just to play with them,
Okay.
to warm up and play. Play with them, and yeah. And so he saw me play and said, "Yeah, Alex, I'll let you in my class because the things that I teach are just like drums and percussion.
Mhm.
A lot of coordination. It's, it looks like dancing.
Mhm.
It looks, yeah, the coordination is like you move to the left, but you have to go with the right, and then when you move to the right, and he used like the clock, like 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock,
Mhm. Mhm.
6 o'clock, like that.
Mhm.
And it's amazing. It's beautiful. His system. I think, and I know for now that it's a system that you can practice until you gone. I mean,
Yeah.
because
Your whole life, lifelong, just like
be-
music.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Because it's
Yeah.
an art. It's not, it's an art. It's not. He never really. I mean, he used to fight with Bruce Lee. So if you fight with
Right.
Bruce Lee, you really fight.
Yeah. Yeah.
But he said, I never use it. They said, no, it's not for that. It's for the six things that he mentioned, the six S's. You
Mhm.
know, it's, he said, you see a fight, leave because anybody's gonna get injured.
Mhm.
Maybe him or
Mhm.
you. Somebody's gonna
Yeah.
get. So it's not good.
Especially in the street, you never know
Yeah,
what's gonna
yeah.
happen. But
But if you're going to defend yourself, they're abusing your wife or they're trying to abuse your children, you have to defend them.
mhm.
But that doesn't happen. That doesn't happen. Anyhow, I hope never happens. It's
Yeah.
a beautiful thing. It's really my especially. I can explain a little bit. In the gene shaping book, I was teaching the other day, well, a couple of years ago. I saw a 12/8 um, kind of jazz beat that he had in one of the pages.
Mhm.
The reason I'm going to mention this is because definitely later when you come to one of my lessons in the house, I can
Yeah.
teach you, physically.
Yeah.
I want to explain a little bit of what I get from martial art to drumming.
Okay.
Right.
Yes. Please do.
Yeah. He said, Dan Inosanto, he's now 84 and he still moves like a 40-year-old man.
Your instructor is 84 years old.
Yeah, my
Yeah.
instructor is 84 years old, but he moves like a 40-year-old man,
Mhm.
40 years old. Amazing. His mind is, anyhow, he's an amazing human being.
Mhm.
He said everything is really, heaven six is like, okay, we've been here, one, two, three, you come back, one, two, three. If you want to do it with the sticks, it would be like this, you know. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. That's he called that heaven six.
Mhm.
He says, Alex, everything is heaven six. Actually, 90% of martial art is heaven six
Mhm.
because sometimes it can be if a kick hand lower, you just broke it. 1, 2 like that. It's still
Mhm.
heaven six. Anyhow, and then he used flam tap, flam tap. Plant tap, plant tap, plant tap, plant tap, like that.
Yeah.
And he even bought the how do you call the stick control book?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, to learn. I said it's very similar to drumming,
Mhm.
and like I said, there is some steps. He used the clock. You go back to the left, back to the right, forward to then to the side. And by doing the movements at the same time. So it requires some coordination.
Mhm.
And so when he said everything is heaven six, and I saw this 12/8, measure. Okay, the 12A has a 4/4. The 12A has a 6/4. The 12A has a 9.
Hmm.
A The 12A has a 3/4.
Hmm.
So I sit down on the drums and okay, I mentioned the measures, the how do you call it, the 3/4, the 4/4, the
Yeah, the
6,
time signatures.
the time signatures. Excuse me.
Yeah.
But inside those time signatures, the cultures come. If you're gonna play three, you can play a jazz waltz. One, two, three, dun, 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 right?
Hmm. Hmm.
Okay. If you wanna play six, one, two, three, four, five, six, one, two, three, four, five. Then you go to Cuba,
Hmm.
right? Or to Peru. Then if you play for four, shuffle,
Shuffle. Yeah.
or you double the tempo, you just you're still on 4/4.
Hmm.
I said, wow, so you also get cultures. You also get,
Yeah.
it's amazing.
Just in that one time signature, you have all the different cultures. Yeah.
One time, one bar.
Right. It's all Heaven Six.
That's already six for
Yeah.
me.
Yeah. Wow,
It,
that's a it's a wonderful. It's kind of it seems like kind of an awakening moment where it's like, the light shines down on you for a second and it all makes sense
yeah,
miraculously. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Miraculously like that. Beautiful. So it's been that kind of a journey, definitely, I feel more physically oriented. I do my stuff every morning. I'm in the ground doing my silat. I do Khalid every day. Every day I
Hmm.
do. Like I pray, I practice my congas, djembe, cajon, drums,
Hmm.
everything,
Hmm.
every day. So at my age, I'm still, I would say, sharp to
Yeah.
play.
Yeah. You're not slowing down at all. I
No,
mean,
no.
last time I played with you last summer at the Hollywood Bowl, just I mean, you were dancing around the con like you were just dancing while you were playing. It was amazing to watch. It was really
What were you
amazing.
playing, the clave or the cowbell?
I was playing the clave. Yeah.
Eh, 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 eh,
Yeah,
eh,
I
eh, eh.
think something like that. I was playing something, yeah, and like Joe, yeah, Joe was playing timpani, and it was a little moment, little Alex Acuna moment. That was great in front of whatever 11,000 people, 12,000 people.
They love it. They love it.
Yeah, yeah,
Anyhow, it's been good, but mainly for the coordination. Like I said, my soul. I'm also a Christian. Like I like to pray.
mm-hmm,
I like to read the Bible.
mm-hmm,
Especially my wife and I, we walk every morning for 1 hour early in the morning,
mm,
and uh, and we pray for the neighborhood, and we say hello to everybody. And we pray for our family, for this nation, for the whole world, for what is happening.
mm-hmm,
I also did in the year 2000s. I became a minister of the Word of God,
mm,
and, uh, and I went to work in Peru doing missions. I became a missionary in my country,
mm,
and we gave. I say we gave because I was part of this mission with actually three Americans, pastors that live in Peru. And we gave about 72,000 wheelchairs.
mm,
Yeah. And every wheelchair cost about $80, no, $60 from China to Peru. and and we never asked money to the congregations or to the government.
mm.
We were able to find people that gave us millions and millions of dollars to help those people they needed the wheelchairs in Peru.
Mm.
So 62,000 wheelchairs is a lot of chairs. It's a lot of
Yeah,
money. And
yeah,
I went always there every time they were going to give the wheelchairs. I went there, took my family. We play concerts, because my children and grandchildren are also great musicians, and my wife is Diana is a great opera singer,
Hmm.
and so I just took the family. We rehearsed 10 songs, and we all play, and it was beautiful. So that's the way that I was contributing to my country,
Yeah.
as far as in the spiritual side.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, a
That's
lot
really
of people,
wonderful.
yeah, a lot of people don't really know that because I don't say it, but I needed to say it now.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's also part. It's good to be having the musical side, the spiritual side, the family side,
Hmm.
and
It's like the
we
Trinity.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's beautiful. It's beautiful. Everything has been very good. I have 5 kids. Beautiful. They became very well in what they do. They own 11 Jersey Mikes right now. So
Right. The
yeah,
franchising. Yeah.
so franchising. So they're all doing good. They never stop working. They love to work.
Hmm.
Also, we share the same faith.
Hmm.
Uh, and everything is being good so far. It's still great. My wife had a miracle about 4 years ago. She had a brain aneurysm,
Hmm.
and she's alive. She's a walking miracle.
Hmm.
With a lot of prayers, all the pastors from all over the world were praying. Doing intercession for her life, and we found the right neurosurgeon and UCLA here in Los Angeles. It's been 4 years, and she's in perfect condition.
Wow.
You know, yeah. So all those things we call it. You know, uh, I have one title for that. Prayer is invading the impossible.
Hmm.
And here in Earth, we human beings we have only two things really. The real prosperity for me, the real prosperity of a human being is health.
Hmm.
If you don't have that, you don't have anything.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter how much money we can have. And the other one is prayer, is faith, something that we don't see, but we feel it, that we do it just expecting, you know, the goodness of the Almighty.
Hmm.
And that's the way I walk my life.
Yeah. No, that's really beautiful. Yeah, I really, strongly believe in having a spiritual side. I'm not, I don't belong to any, organized religion, but I do meditate every day, and I've had some very, powerful experiences where I feel like I've been made aware of some type of greater intelligence that Aldous Huxley called the mind at large. Just something that we're all connected to, and I've
Excellent.
certainly had that experience. Yeah, but yeah, I definitely, although I don't, although I don't have any of the main faiths that you hear around the globe, I'm definitely a very spiritual person, and it means a lot to me, especially in my meditation practice. So that's really beautiful to hear all the wonderful charitable work you've done, and how that's how you've brought it to your family life and brought it to your music, and have just had such an incredible career in life. And
It
I
is.
think that's a wonderful note to leave this on. I really appreciate you taking the time today. Thank you so much for talking to me. Is there anything you'd like to say? Anything you'd like to promote, or anything you have going on that you'd like to tell everyone about before we get
Yeah.
off?
Actually, I've been very blessed that because you came to my house. I have a
Mm-hmm.
studio semi-pro.
Mm-hmm.
I have great microphones and mic pre's and everything,
Mm-hmm.
good instruments. I really haven't stopped working all these 3 months. People send me files and even doing televisions and movie things, small movies. So they send me the files. They know what they know what I do. Play
Mm-hmm.
djembe, cajones, congas, the Latin percussion and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so they trust me, and I'm here with my engineer, and I've been doing a lot of albums and
Oh,
a lot,
great.
lot of recordings. And I just got a call when I was talking to you when that I'm going to be working also on the Minions 2, the
Oh,
movie,
great. Minions. Yeah. Okay.
a couple of weeks, something like that. So
Excellent.
yeah, that it's nice to be in town, to be with my family, and I don't travel much anymore
Hmm.
with anybody, any groups, because I'm doing good. Like I said in the past, I told you that I'm also collecting my pensions,
Hmm. Hmm.
from the government and from the. So it's pretty good, and I can just live with that, you know.
Good.
Yeah.
Great. I'm glad that you're staying busy and that you're not slowing down. You know, the world needs more Alex Acuna. Hopefully for many many more years to come.
Yes.
But yeah. But
One,
thank you. Oh, go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
no, one thing that I wanted to say is, definitely like if anybody really wants to take a lesson from me, because that's the reason why I like to share. That's
Mm.
the main thing. The main thing for me is to share.
Mm-hmm.
Because music came to me freely. You know, I don't think I ever paid for a lesson,
Wow.
although I have hundreds of teachers.
Mm-hmm.
Thousands maybe. I learn from everybody. I learn from you when I see you. I learn from when I play over there with a Philharmonic, LA
Yeah.
Philharmonic. I'm watching everybody, and oh, okay, oh, this is how they do it. Oh, this is how it's done. Okay, that we constantly, that we always learning, and
Mm-hmm.
so for me, that's it's an incredible honor and privilege that the time that we played together and met all these great, fantastic percussionists in Los Angeles.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a great process. So I want to give back as well. So if anybody wants to learn anything from me, I'm open.
Yeah, and from personal experience, you've just been so generous with your time with me in the lessons that I've had with you. So anyone who wants to take a lesson should really, believe Alex when he says he wants to teach, and please reach out to him. How can people reach you if they'd like to take a lesson?
Oh yeah, I'm an open book. My phone is on Facebook.
Okay.
Alex, yeah, Alex Neciosup Acuña on Facebook. Alex Acuña, they find me, and
Great.
I have all my infos there,
Okay.
emails, and
Oh,
everything.
okay.
I don't.
So look him up on Facebook, guys, and reach out. He would like to hear from you, and you can only benefit from listening to him and playing with him. But Alex, thank you so much. Hope to see you soon. I'm glad you're doing well,
Thank
and
you.
I'll catch up with you in a couple seconds here. Okay.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. Wow. What an amazing life. What an amazing career. What an amazing person. Just so generous and kind and loving and all the wonderful adjectives you can apply to him. They all apply to him. So I'm just gonna kind of let that sit there. Definitely gonna watch this one back, and I hope you all really enjoyed that interview. I'll be back here next Friday, 5 p.m. Pacific time, with a new guest on Taking Note Live, and I'll see you then. Bye for now.